Live from the Icebox Theater in Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania, it's the Bill and Corey Show. I'm Bill.
And I'm Corey.
First question this week. Can the HQ 2015 cylinder warming blanket be used to warm a liquefied gas? I'm working with ammonia in a 1A size cylinder and wondering whether this equipment is suitable for the application. We just so happen to have a cylinder warming blanket right here. Hopefully you can see over me. Our HQ 2015 cylinder warming blanket is intended for gas mixtures and cylinders. You could get a gas mixture that has 20 components in it, and they got low vapor pressure liquefied gases are part of the components. And what this blanket does is there's two different zones for heating.
I thought there were three.
There's two zones. The lower zone is hotter than the higher zone. And what it does is it warm gas rises. So it creates convection currents and it circulates the gas in there to keep the gas mixed together.
Like the currents in our ocean.
Like the currents in our ocean, right? Not, well, yeah.
Yeah,
kinda.
that's what they do.
Like yeah, so it just, it keeps things all mixed up. So if you have these multi-component gas mixtures, and they can help, they can separate. Maybe you have higher concentration one component at the top than on the bottom, and so this is keeps it circulating and mixed. Now, people often ask if they can use this for liquefied gases, and these are not for liquefied gases. We can get custom blankets made for liquefied gases. What we need to know is obviously the gas, ambient temperature it's being used in, the flow rates, and then our people who design our blankets will design something appropriate for your application. But this is for mixes, it's not for liquefied gases. But it is, this type of construction is good for ammonia service. Our typical warming blankets are Class 1, Div 1, groups B, C, D rated. So can be used in those intrinsically safe environments that you need it. So you can move this now.
All right. And a word of warning, these are not to be used, oh, my head's out of the shot. These are not to be used on cold winter nights. Not safe.
Okay.
All right, our next question.
Our next question. I need to order a model that is equivalent to my existing Flowmeter, part number SEQ J14C251J410. Can you give me some guidance on what model to order?
Well, in order to answer the question right away, we can just order that part number. That tells us everything we need to know about your Rotometer, and this is an example Rotometer. So in that part number, there are a bunch of different options for a Rotometer, including materials that are used, inside and out. The wetted materials that include stainless steel, brass, sometimes Manel. That's a rare material used, and then you have the seals: Viton, Buna. There's EPR and Teflon, and those are some of the options. We still have more options, but it take too long to list all the options. And then there is this one is not with a valve. This has a valve plug right here, but you can put a valve in there. We have two types of valves, a high accuracy and a utility valve. And so the high accuracy obviously it allows you to more accurately control the flow. And you can either put it on the inlet or you can put it on the outlet. And when that comes with different things depending on what your application is, it does affect the flow rates inside, and there's some things that need to be done to figure out which way you want to go with that. We also have on the back here, this is special with the tube coming out, but these are how you connect to it. This is the inlet. This is the outlet, and you can get 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch, 1/2 inch, or 1/8 inch FNPT. You can get 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, and a bunch of other compression fittings. There's also hose barbs that can come out of this. There's a lot of different connections that we can do, and we have a lot of different connections that we don't even list for the that can be used. We also, let's see here. Also. There's our accessories that you can get with it, like this stand that it's sitting on right now. This is probably our most popular accessory. You can also get your own company's logo on it if you want to sell it as well. We do that as well.
Yeah, we can do custom tubes.
Custom tubes.
We also do panel mounting options. So if you want to recess this in a panel or put it in front of the panel.
That is another way. And then the last numbers, there's on this one that's a J410, and the J410 tells you that it's a direct read and a 410 scale, which we have just numbered a bunch of scales that do a variety of flow rates for different gases and things. And this one, like I said, is a direct read. We also have the FM 1050, which is a bigger version, and it's a reference scale, so you have to have, so it just goes 0 to 150. You get a paper and be like, oh, it's at 20 right now, and it reads this for this gas. So,
well, we do have direct read. You can keep that up there. We do have direct read scales in the FM 1050.
Oh, yes, we do.
Most
yes, we
commonly
do.
used with reference charts.
That's true.
Now, our common inlet outlets for the Rotometer, this is a 1/4-inch compression fitting. The other common inlets are 1/8 inch female pipe, 1/4 inch female, and then you've got hose barb fitting, 3/16 to 3/8 hose barb. And then we can put any other things in there. The common materials that we sell are brass with Buna seals and stainless steel with Viton. And we can do different seal materials for that. Okay. All right. Next question for Corey. I'm trying to get a leak check on my inline purifier. My question is, will the purifier off gas if left under vacuum for a leak check? This is an inline purifier?
Yes. And so this one is a combination oxygen moisture trap, so it takes oxygen and moisture out of your system. And the short answer is no, it will not off gas. The materials inside that do the purifying need to be heated to a high temperature in order to recharge them, and unless that's done, it won't give off any gas. So it is okay to pull a vacuum on it to leak test it.
Yeah. Okay. Next question's for Corey. There we go. It says, I have a question regarding 2 of your products for purification of gas streams. The 64-1000, that's right there.
This one right here?
That's one of them. There's different sizes. And the 450B, which is that. For our electrolysis system, we require an additional hydrogen cleaning stage. We're thinking a combination of the 64-1000 and the 450B as proposed in the product description. Are the materials of the 450V, which is black anodized aluminum and nickel-plated brass, suitable for operation with hydrogen gas?
Short answer is yes, they are. So typically for gases, when it comes to inert and flammable, most materials, almost all materials work with them. There are some exceptions. When it comes to corrosive gases is when you really need to check out the materials and their compatibility. So to answer the question, yes, it will. So what happens in this, so this has a catalyst inside of it, and as the H2 goes into it, whatever O2 is in there, the catalyst will combine an H2 with an O and create water vapor. But, of course, you don't want to really replace oxygen with water vapor in your system because that just poses another problem. So then you put the 450B, which can take water vapor out of the system right after it. So you take the oxygen out, make it into water vapor, and this will take the water vapor out and leave nothing behind. Yeah. And in this case, this can only be used in hydrogen gas. We've gotten a question recently asking if you can use it in 25% CO2 and 75% hydrogen, but this is just for hydrogen gas.
Yes, and this purifier, we have different sizes. I just happened to pull this one because it was the first number on the list. But yeah, it's got catalyst in there, and you need a lot of hydrogen, and it will turn whatever oxygen you have in there. You got, ppm level, or it will convert that to moisture, and then you got to get rid of the moisture if you want.
And the good news with this catalyst is that it will work indefinitely unless other contaminants are put into it. So if you have an H2 with, it will work indefinitely to clean the hydrogen gas.
Okay. Okay, last question for the week. It says, we're looking for a high pressure regulator with an inlet pressure rating of 10,000 PSI, similar to your 3060 SA series. But what we need is a 1/4 inch male VCR connection on both ends so it fits into our current system. Okay. So this is actually a brass version of it, but our 3060 series, the SA, which is stainless steel, will work. Does have the stainless steel version does have a maximum inlet pressure of 10,000 psi. So that part, the regulator, will work. You just have to look at the components that go in and out. So they have they wanted 1/4-inch male VCR fittings, inlet and outlet. We had to double check on the pressure ratings of those, and they are acceptable up to 10,000 psi service. So they can use that. Now with the gauges, our typical gauges are 7,500 psi, so we could probably plug that off for you, or we could get a 10,000 psi gauge and put it in there. Now with gauges, you could say 10,000 psi, well, I can use it right up to the limit. Well, it's a yes and no. The gauges, typical regulator gauges that we use, has at the full scale reading, you can handle that pressure for a short amount of time. Steady pressure, so if you're hooking this up to a cylinder, the gauge is good for 3/4 of the full scale range. So if it's a 10,000 psi gauge and you have a constant source of 7,500 psi, that's acceptable for that. And if you have fluctuating pressure, you're in a process and the pressure is going to go up and down, so the board-on tube gets some movement going on, then that pressure drops to 2/3. So that a lot of people kind of ignore the pressure gauges. They just figure, oh, it's 1,000 psi, it's good for 1,000, or 4,000 is good for 4,000. It is and it isn't. So you have to look at the conditions you're using it at. So.
And for all of our regulators, the gauges we put on are always higher than what the...
Correct.
Yeah, so we always practice that as well, and we always encourage others to do that as well.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions we have for this week. Tune in next Thursday at 10 a.m. for another episode of the Bill and Corey Show.
Have a great week and set your VCRs.